Well, let's see how long it takes you to find me. Thank you very much. Let's go.
I think that as long as it's transparent at some level and you, the consumer or the user, have the ability to find out what is being kind of used to your benefit, your supposed benefit, then I feel quite relaxed about it and actually think that it can be an exciting leap forward. I think that where it becomes tricky is when it's not totally transparent to you, the user, or there is no way of finding out. And I think that that's one of the areas that perhaps we're only beginning to grapple with now.
Well, here we are then. I've just got out of the car, close to the city centre, and for the purposes of this exercise, the plan is for me to start walking in the direction of the bus station. My image has already been flagged to the authorities as a suspect, and in theory, it should only be a matter of time. So already on this bridge, I can see 1, 2, 3 CCTV cameras. Of course, there's no point hiding from them. Just keep on walking. Uh-oh. Right behind me, you can see just over my left shoulder there. Hello, guys. I've been expecting you. Maybe these guys aren't in on the joke.
Sherry, how is this generation different in terms of how much we give to other people in terms of our information?
Well, I think this generation has a sense that information wants to be free and information about themselves wants to be free. And in a way, there's a kind of self-surveillance that I think that young people don't think about in political terms. But it is a political issue. People put their lives on the screen. They put really intimate details of their lives out there, and with very little thought that there might be people using that information in ways that are not benign. I did an interview with a 16-year-old that is precious to me because he talked about how he knows that people, can read his email. He knows that people somehow he senses that his texts are being saved in some server in the sky. But he, when he wants to have a private conversation, he goes to payphones, and he feels that payphones are the only safe place for him to talk. I mean, you have this sense of even young people looking for the interstices of the system to find a little privacy. We see what this generation looks like as it grows up with it. They're now a generation in retreat. They'll text, but they won't talk. One of the things that has been so, for somebody like me who does interviews and who believes in what you learn from the face, from the philosophers tell us that we become human when we're confronted with another face through the voice, through the inflection of the voice. These kids don't want to see a face, they don't want to see a voice. They want to text. So that in a way we're no longer nourished but consumed in some way by what we've created. And I think that that's very, it's not all good.
There's a massive generational difference in how people see the web. And that's one of the things that I find most interesting and exciting, you know, not only just between classic generational breakdowns, but much more split and atomized fragments of, you know, early 20s to late 20s to mid 20s. It's more about kind of the stage of life you're at as well, I think, and where you are in the education cycle. You know, if I look now at how 8, 9, 10-year-olds use the web, it's completely different to how, you know, somebody aged 18 would use it, completely different how I would use it again. And I think that one of the issues around the privacy questions that are now being raised are, have we taught children how to be safe online enough? And are we, you know, aware enough, if we've come at this later with technology, of all the different ways that information is used? So there's definitely a piece of education that needs to underpin all of the developments that are happening in technology.
I think it's going to be pretty amazing to see how the next generation, I guess, evolves, if you want to call it that, because of their access to technology, but ultimately their access to information. I think education is being redefined. It's not necessarily about memorization. It's about finding, searching for answers. You have an infinite amount of resources available to you, or information available to you. And I think people, or this next generation, I guess, are much more knowledgeable about any topic that you can think of.
When we go through the Mass Pike and there's Easy Pass, my car is tracked, there are surveillance cameras all over. We're both giving up unprecedented amounts of information in profiling. I think that it's hard to teach the relationship between privacy and democracy, and it's also hard to teach the relationship between intimacy and privacy.
The social web can do more good in the world than it can do bad. And it's the choice of people and the people who are using it as to what they want to do with it. It is the most empowering generational shift that has ever happened. And I think that that is what makes it so compelling and so inspiring and so much fun. When you look at the fact that you can be sitting in your pajamas on your couch and help drive, world peace, that is actually happening today. That's possible in a way that it was never possible before. And I think that that's something that is incredibly important. So, does it mean that people have shorter attention spans? Yes, but is that a bad thing? Maybe, depending on what your point of view is. But in terms of what it can actually enable socially, economically, and politically, I think that we should embrace and welcome social technology, not fear it. And I think that the part about it that is just amazing is the fact that it is global. We didn't have a way to impact the world in one single instant. Today we do, and it's through the internet. You can be sitting at your house in your pajamas, and you can actually impact the lives of someone sitting in a country hundreds of thousands of miles away that is wrought with political strife. You can say, I'm here, I'm listening to you. One of our Ning networks is the Congo Wall, which was created by Eve Ensler, who had just gotten back from the Congo with her V-Day organization, where women are being brutalized as a means of fighting a war. And the fact of the matter is they feel alone. And with social technology, women from all over the world could come to this Ning network and leave a message for the women of the Congo. You're not alone. And those messages, over 2,000 women and men around the world actually contributed a message. They printed them out and took them to the hospital in the Congo where women were recovering. No one is alone anymore. And I actually think that's a really powerful thing. You can sit at your house and make change. And we're talking about social change and political change and economic change in a way that was never possible before. And I think that that's something that we should embrace, and that we should look at what are the ways that we're going to make it the best of what people can be, as opposed to the worst of what people can be.
You know, it's a tool that makes things that we do in our everyday lives so much more rich and easier and convenient and fun. And the essence of it for me is that there isn't a predetermined, way of behaving on the web. It's what you make of it. And that's true for a business, and that's true for an individual. And it's that tool and the power of that tool that you can use as an individual that I think is what makes it so kind of unquantifiable, I guess. And I think that the web has reinforced what I believe about human nature, was that it's good, and it's, when put together, it can create great things. I find the web a friendly place. I don't like this extremist view that the web is suddenly a danger zone where unpleasant people can more easily find their vulnerable targets. That's the extremities, as it always has been in every society. And as long as you educate to make people safe, I think the bulk of what happens in the web is interesting, exciting, supportive, fun, entertaining, and magic.
The kinds of things that we have to solve as global citizens, we actually have the tools to be able to solve them, in part because of what makes people so special, which is the fact that we're innovators, and we are people who can change the world.